You know what we do on Tuesday, Paul?
Nope.
We talk about updated Apple hardware because that's
Okay.
2 days in a row.
So did they shrink in the bezels a lot? Because my God, that looks like an iPad from 2010. No?
Or an
Nothing?
iPad from
No, from
March
2019.
18th, 2019.
Yeah. That's
I
right.
mean, it's just
Yeah.
an iMac. It's if you've ever said I wish my iMac had more cores, you can now do that. If you
wish
ever
my
said,
new iMac looked just like my old iMac. Did anyone ever say that?
but if you have ever said, I wish my iMac included the new T2 security chip, keep holding your breath because this one doesn't have it, which is really weird. If you,
Apple, they just released 2 new iPads that support the old, not the new Apple Pencil.
yeah,
So
so
what are we expecting?
Apple basically came out and said, if you want the best security, buy one of our laptops, not one of our
Yes.
desktops.
This kind of inconsistency is bizarre, and this has been a problem there for a long time. Like they have this jumble of products, and they don't line up in a linear fashion in any way, and it's just really weird. I'm surprised. You mentioned, I mean, you had a little tweet today, sorry, about hardware quality at Apple. And I've written something about that as well, and whatever. And I think Apple gets kind of a pass on things for some reason. For one of the most heavily scrutinized companies on earth, it's weird to me that there isn't a bigger outcry about this kind of stuff from their own community of users, But they just focus on the positive. It's crazy.
Sorry, I'm doing a time zone conversion because
Yeah, good luck.
it's completely not relevant to Apple's new hardware. And if you want to, you can actually spec these things out with 2 terabytes of solid state storage. How much do you think that sets you back?
1,000. I mean, on a Mac, that'd probably be $4,000. I mean, it's probably in real life about 1,000.
1,100.
Oh,
So
there you go. Okay. How about the 256 gigs of RAM option? What does that say?
I meant to look that one up before because that's only on the iMac
The Pro. The iMac Pro, that's right.
So
I saw I don't know how accurate this was, but let me see if I can bring this up quickly. Of course I can't, because why the hell would anything I do be efficient? Yeah, I can't find it. Jeez. Here we go.
I've got it.
Yeah, the new Twitter is terrible, by the way. Okay. New iMac Pro build order option includes a $5,200 option for 256 gigs of RAM and Radio Pro Vega 64X graphics with 16 gigabytes of dedicated video.
So just for fun, if you take an iMac Pro and give it the highest end Xenon processor, which is an 18-core 2.3 gigahertz with turbo boost up to 4.3, 256 gigabytes of RAM, the Radeon Vega 64X with 16 gigs of RAM, 4 terabytes of storage, and we'll just say the magic. Well, we'll keep the standard peripherals. We won't go crazy.
Okay.
And what do you think this one costs?
I think this machine is going to reach a next level, if you will, next being Steve Jobs' company, of $10,000 ish.
You're a little shy.
Okay, what do we got?
Keep a little higher.
Really higher? Okay, 11,500.
Keep going.
12,800.
Keep going.
Seriously, 15,000.
A little bit higher.
Come on. I don't. It's 16,000. No, I believe you. Yikes! $15,700
for a display welded to an aluminum enclosure that you probably can't upgrade easily.
Yeah, exactly. It does have the word Pro in the name, though. Yeah. By the way, another inconsistency at Apple, right? Their use of these names, brands like Air and Pro, don't always match up. Air used to mean something, and now they just indiscriminately add it to the middle thing. It's kind of a weird company.
So your options are a fully decked out iMac Pro or a Honda Civic.
Exactly.
Probably.
Which one do you think is going to last longer, Brad?
Yeah, well, one of them will at least drive you a couple miles.
Yeah.
So Yeah, that's yep. Your kids don't need to go to college, do they?
I ask myself that question almost every day.
Can you fall on the sword and order this thing just to benchmark it for fun, for the giggles?
Yeah, right. So I mean that 15, right. So I guess to put that in perspective, that $15,000 ish is the cost of one semester at a typical college.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yikes, yikes! Mostly to the cost of a typical college. That is.
Yeah, a little bit of A, a lot of B.
Yeah, I mean, and most of those students could probably get by over most of that 4-year term, well, whatever number year term, using a $600 to $800 laptop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are people who need this. I'm sure there are. They work for Lucasfilm or Disney or whatever. I don't know, but
somebody with a large IT budget and said, "Hey, how can I fill that gap?"
No. I mean, it's like people who literally have specific needs with regards to graphics processing or something. It's not gamers. It's not normal.
Well, it's even worse than that. It's specific requirements, like you just said, but it has to run on a Mac. Because if you,
it's real. Yes.
Because if you're running Adobe Premiere, just go build a PC. I mean, you could even buy a high-end PC for 10 grand, save yourself $5,000, and get a lot more horsepower.
Yeah. So, right. You've probably seen these kind of behind-the-scenes things like at Weta or these graphics-heavy special effects companies that make the Lord of the Rings and King Kong and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, a lot of that happens on Windows computers, but I think a lot of let's call them creative professionals who are literally interacting with the machine, meaning they're using Photoshop or some end user application, not just sitting there rendering video, but literally using it for some purpose. I bet a lot of those guys still use Macs, right? For maybe just for traditional reasons, but that's who this is for. This is for the elite, creative content creators, I guess, whatever the term is for these people. But yeah, that's crazy. I mean, 6 months ago we were complaining because you couldn't buy a MacBook Pro with 32 gigs of RAM. I mean,
yeah, they kind of came back and said, you know what, this is how we're going to
screw you. How does infinite RAM sound?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, 256. I mean, you could just install a couple OSs on there
and run them both in real time. I mean, No, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, but that's Apple for you.
It's like the supercar of computers, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Other things happening. Microsoft Teams turns 2, sort of, and they're rolling out new feature. I say sort of because I don't think their actual birthday was today. I think they rolled it out, and this is like the second anniversary of it being broadly
generally available.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I think it came out like the previous November or something.
Yeah, but new features like background blur is still there, but now you can replace it with a beach scene or whatever makes you happy. The one nice thing that is now included, which they kind of showed this off at their future of the conference room meeting or whatever thing at Ignite a couple years ago, is real-time live captioning.
Right.
Which is kind of nice.
It's really nice. And it's an accessibility feature, obviously, but honestly, because our son is deaf, we often have the captioning on whatever we're watching, and I mean, it's on all the time. We don't really think about it that much. It's just, we find we're not hard of hearing necessarily, I mean, or whatever, but we've gotten so used to it. We actually really like it. It's helpful.
Well, it's helpful in other ways too. If you're like Tim, our developer, who's always taking conference calls in loud coffee shops and he can't hear anything, he can now use live captioning and just read our vomit.
Wait until you get offline again and see the ways in which I was dumping on you in the it doesn't matter. Anyway, you have some work to catch up on. That's all I'm saying. So, yes, captioning. It's good.
Captioning my downfall. And later today, folks, Google will be holding their keynote. Actually, potentially by the time you're listening to this, it might be live and done and already. You can read all on that goodness on Thurrott because we will obviously be covering that. But there was a little bit of a Kotaku, however you pronounce their name, had a insight into it that there's no console. It's just the controller. Work with other controllers and
Chromecast streaming from a PC, which sounds interesting. And then, of course, the service itself, which is codenamed Yeti. and sounds a lot like Microsoft xCloud. So
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many ways you can stream a game.
yes, and there's only so many companies that can do it too effectively, and so Google makes sense on that note. They've also apparently lined up first-party content as well as third-party partners, and we'll see what that looks like. But their goal is, of course, for it to run across everything, and we'll see. It's interesting, I wrote about how Xbox is kind of mirroring what's happening at the rest of the company. It's interesting that Google entering this market kind of mirrors how Google has, I want to say been forced to, it's not really been forced to, but because of circumstances, how they compete with Microsoft in the cloud space, because Microsoft uniquely has this hybrid solution they can offer, because not everyone is ready to go to this new thing. In fact, some companies will never be ready. And so Microsoft offers on-prem servers as well as true cloud services and so forth. Google was born on the internet. They don't have that on-prem option, although they've added the appliance boxes and stuff. Obviously, when they go to gaming, it kind of rolls out the same way, right? They're not going to release a console. That's stupid. They're going to do what they do with the cloud, and so that kind of makes sense. It's an interesting parallel, I think, between their more traditional businesses and gaming.
Yep. You get any other ways to skin this cat of a podcast, Paul?
No, I just want to mention, I don't know that I'm going to sit here and skewer them, but I will be watching the Google event, which is at 1 Eastern. Normally, that's the time we record What the Tech today, but I asked Andrew to push it back an hour, like I think I suggested I would do yesterday. And so we're doing that. Hopefully everything happens in the first hour. If not, maybe we'll cover it live, because that was the other option we had kind of talked about. But I will probably be tweeting during the announcement while I watch it. Again, I don't know that I'm going to go full-blown, Mystery Science Theater on them, but because I'm actually very interested in this. But then What the Tech will be live at 2 if you want to see that. And we're going to obviously be covering the Google event right after it happens.
We shall see. We shall see what they announce. Curious how they're going to drag this out too. I mean, it's like 5 minutes worth of announcements, but
I know. Well, you know how gaming events are. They're going to they're going to show games, right? And so
world premiere exclusive.
Yeah, I gotta hate that stuff. But in this case, because this is such a new thing, it's still very interesting, right? Like you might have seen today. Actually, it happened the other day, but I didn't see it till today. Activision revealed they're going to bring Call of Duty Mobile worldwide. Previously, it was like a China-only thing, and it looks just like the shooter does on like the Xbox 360. It's that level of graphics. It has all these multiplayer maps from the past, and the interesting thing is, even though it's Call of Duty and it's very familiar, putting it on mobile is new, and so that makes it kind of interesting. And I think putting stuff on whatever Google brought in-house, right, because they have recruited from throughout the gaming industry for first-party stuff, whatever they are able to partner on. So we'll see which of the big names show up and which don't. It's interesting just because it's Google, right? Because this is like the first time, and so the level of support they get right up front, I think, is going to be very indicative of how things are going to go. Just like next week when we see what Apple gets on their video service, I think that's going to tell a story as well.
Yeah, it'll be I was trying to think of some pun, but it's just going to be a lot of streaming,
A river of streams, as we say.
I don't know who says that.
Yeah, it's tough. I know that it's not very easy.
Yeah. That embarrassing pun bombshell. That wraps it up for today, folks. We'll be back tomorrow talking Google stuff and whatever else happens overnight. Probably some new Apple hardware because they why go 3 for 3, I guess. We'll see. Catch you later.
Yeah.